Morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to read from Book 6 of And Then It Happened, Chapter 8, Mr. Lima's Bad Day. February was one of the coldest months on record in our town. We hadn't had so much snow and such cold temperatures in a century, and I wasn't looking forward to today's outing. Gordon, Paul, and I were going to spend the entire day outside trying to take pictures of a great horned owl for a school project. And Paulo's dad had offered to drive us out to the country to a spot where we knew some owls lived. We hoped to capture some really good pictures of a great horned owl and maybe even a short video clip of an owl in flight. Mrs. Hogsbrough had given our class a choice between a written assignment and a photo essay, and Gordon, Paul, and I knew which assignment we preferred. 1,000-word essay or some pictures of a great horned owl, Gordon had said. Ha! No contest! Paul and I agreed wholeheartedly. That's why I was waiting at Gordon's house at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning for Paulo and his dad to pick us up. We were both bundled up in our parkas and toques and 2 pairs of mittens to guard against the cold. When Mr. Lima's van pulled into our driveway, we wasted no time in getting in. To our surprise, the temperature inside the van was no warmer than the temperature outside. Paulo sat beside his father, shivering in the front seat, and then I noticed the open window beside Mr. Lima. "It's a great day, eh, boys?" said Paulo's dad, his breath coming out in clouds. "It's practically spring. You can smell it in the air." I threw a puzzled glance at Gordon. Had Mr. Lima gone crazy? It was freezing outside. Then I saw it. The hat. Mr. Lima was wearing his expensive Toasty Warren beaver fur hat. Mr. Lima loved wearing his hat almost as much as he loved bragging about his hat. "Yup," said Mr. Lima, to no one in particular. "It's a great day to take pictures, especially when you're dressed for the outdoors." Paulo turned and rolled his eyes at us. 20 minutes later we arrived, shivering at the edge of the woods. We climbed out of the van, gathered up our gear, and started off. "Have you got the bait?" I asked Paulo. "Right here," he said, removing a small toy mouse and some fishing line from his pocket. "I don't think that cat toy is going to fool any owl," said Gordon skeptically. "Sure it will," replied Paulo. "Just you wait and see. We'll put the toy mouse down on the snow and attach this fishing line to it. Then we'll hide in the bushes and every once in a while we'll tug on the fishing line. That'll make it look like the mouse is moving. Sooner or later a great horned owl will spot our mouse and think it's a real mouse. He'll swoop down and catch it up, and we'll be ready with our cameras to capture it all on film." The plan sounded simple enough. We placed a fake mouse in the centre of a small clearing, close enough to the bushes so we could get some good pictures of the owl as it swooped down on its prey. Then we crawled into the bushes to wait. Half an hour went by, and nothing happened. "I can't feel my toes," I said, stamping my feet to get the blood flowing. "Oh, I think I've got frostbite," said Paulo, blowing his fingers to warm them up. "Your dad sure looks warm," commented Gordon. We glanced over to where Mr. Lima sat on a fallen log, looking nice and warm. Another half hour crept by, and still there was no sign of an owl. I was getting cramped and cold and ready to give up when Mr. Lima announced that he was going to stretch his legs. Getting up, he paced back and forth across the small clearing. At that same instant, a great horned owl flew out of its hiding spot in one of the trees and made straight for the clearing. "Get your camera ready," I whispered excitedly to Gordon. "Here it comes." The owl dove into the clearing, its wings spread out more than 1 meter wide. I could see its sharp talons ready to grab its prey. And then it happened. The owl completely ignored our fake mouse and made straight for Mr. Lima, who, with his back turned, didn't see it coming. The owl dove at the man and snatched his expensive beaver fur hat right off his head. "Hey!" shouted Mr. Lima, turning around to see the owl fly away with his hat and land at the top of a tall poplar tree. "My hat!" shouted Mr. Lima. "That..." The authors used a tricky word here. It looks like this. "That bird stole my hat!" I think he was swearing. "This is great!" exclaimed Gordon, who was using his camera to videotape the scene, while Paulo was busy snapping pictures with his own camera. Mr. Lima continued to curse and shake his fists at the owl, who had deposited the hat in the crook of one of the highest branches, at least 5 meters above our head. "Which one of you boys is going to climb that tree and get my hat back?" demanded Mr. Lima, as if the whole thing had been our fault. Gordon, Paul, and I glanced at each other. The tree was very tall and very spindly. None of the branches near the top would have supported our weight. What's more, the hat was being heavily guarded by a very large great horned owl who thought he had just caught the world's biggest mouse. "Dad, there's no way that tree will hold our weight," said Paulo. "Besides, I don't think that owl will give up your hat too easily. He might attack us." "You're right," said Mr. Lima. "We'll have to find another way to get my hat down." "I've an idea," said Gordon. "That owl's bound to realize that the hat isn't something he can eat. Why don't we just wait until he flies away, and then we can get our fishing rods and try casting into the tree for your hat?" "It's worth a try," said Mr. Lima thoughtfully. "Besides, it's sure getting cold outside." Since we didn't have a better plan, we decided to head home for our fishing rods. It took about an hour to go home, pick up our rods, and return to the woods. As we neared the clearing, we were startled to hear shotgun blasts. We jogged the rest of the way to the clearing and saw several men in hunting outfits standing around what looked like a small, dead animal in the middle of the clearing. "Hey, that's no raccoon," we heard one of the hunters say. "Wow, but what is it?" asked another hunter. Our eyes immediately travelled to the top of the poplar tree. There was no sign of the hat. "My hat!" Mr. Lima shouted as we all rushed into the clearing. "You've ruined my hat!" he said, staring down at the bits of singed fur that had once been his very expensive beaver hat. "We thought it was a raccoon," explained one of the hunters by way of apology. Yeah, we're real sorry," said another. Mr. Lima just stood there, too shocked to say anything. A week later, Mrs. Hogsbreath handed back our photo essay and video clip of the great horned owl. "Your pictures of the owl attacking that hat were excellent," she told us. "And your video, was so funny, I showed it to all the teachers in the staff room. Everyone agreed that your assignment deserved an A+. Tomorrow, we'll have chapter 9.